Jack Turner had seen it all. Or so he thought. The sun was setting behind the dense forest as he drove up the narrow, winding road to Blackwood Castle. The air was thick with the scent of pine and moss, and the trees seemed to lean in closer, as if trying to warn him. But Jack wasn't one to be easily scared. He was a seasoned paranormal investigator, and he thrived on uncovering the mysteries that others ran from. Yet, as he approached the castle, a shiver ran down his spine. Blackwood Castle was a looming structure, its stone walls darkened with age and vines creeping up like skeletal fingers. It had been abandoned for decades, left to the elements and whatever spirits still lingered within. The local villagers spoke of a woman who watched over the grounds, her spirit restless and vengeful. They called her the Silent Watcher. Jack parked his car and stepped out, taking in the eerie silence. No birds sang, no insects buzzed. It was as if the entire forest was holding its breath. He grabbed his equipment from the trunk and made his way to the massive oak doors. They creaked open with a push, revealing a grand but decaying entrance hall. Dust motes danced in the dim light filtering through cracked windows. Hello?" Jack called out, his voice echoing off the stone walls. There was no answer, only the distant sound of dripping water. He switched on his flashlight and began to explore. Jack set up his base camp in what must have once been the castle's grand ballroom. The ceiling was high, and remnants of once opulent chandeliers hung precariously. He unpacked his equipment, EMF detectors, cameras, audio recorders, and a notebook. As night fell, the castle seemed to come alive with whispers and shadows. All right, let's see what we've got," Jack muttered to himself as he activated the EMF detector. The device lit up immediately, spiking high. "Oh, whoa, that's unusual." He followed the readings down a long, dark corridor, feeling a chill that had nothing to do with the cold. The detector led him to a room at the far end. The door was slightly ajar, and as he pushed it open, he felt a sudden drop in temperature. His breath misted in the air. Inside, the room was empty except for a large, antique mirror hanging on the wall. Jack approached it cautiously. The surface was dusty, but he could see his reflection clearly. As he stared, the reflection began to change. His own image faded, replaced by that of a woman. She was pale, with long dark hair and sad eyes. She wore a dress that looked centuries old. Jack's heart raced. He raised his camera, snapping photos rapidly. The woman in the mirror opened her mouth as if to speak, but no sound came out. Then she was gone. Jack spent the next day researching the castle's history. He found old records and newspaper clippings in the town's library. Blackwood Castle had been built in the early 1800s by Lord Henry Blackwood, a wealthy but reclusive man. The woman in the mirror was likely his wife, Lady Eleanor Blackwood, who had mysteriously disappeared shortly after the castle was completed. Locals believed that Lord Blackwood had discovered her infidelity and locked her away in a hidden room, where she eventually died. Her spirit was said to haunt the castle, watching over it in eternal sorrow and anger. Jack returned to the castle armed with this knowledge. He was determined to find the hidden room and uncover the truth about Lady Eleanor's fate. As night fell, he set up his cameras and audio recorders throughout the castle, focusing on the area where he had seen the woman in the mirror. He began to ask questions aloud, hoping to provoke a response. Lady Eleanor, can you hear me? Are you the Silent Watcher?" For a long moment, there was nothing but silence. Then, a soft whisper echoed through the room. Help me." Jack's heart pounded. How can I help you?" he asked, his voice trembling slightly. The whisper came again, faint but clear. Find me." Driven by the ghostly plea, Jack intensified his search for the hidden room. He tapped on walls, looking for hollow spots, and examined the floor for trapdoors. The castle's age and disrepair made the task daunting, but he was relentless. Days turned into nights as Jack delved deeper into the castle's secrets. Finally, in the library, he found a book that seemed out of place. It was a thick, leather-bound volume titled The Secrets of Blackwood Castle. As he flipped through the pages, he discovered a hand-drawn map of the castle with a marked spot labeled Eleanor's chamber. Excited, Jack followed the map to a small, forgotten room behind the library. The door was hidden behind a bookshelf that he managed to move with considerable effort. Inside, the air was stale and cold. Dust covered everything, and cobwebs hung like curtains. In the center of the room was an ornate wooden chest. Jack approached it cautiously, feeling a sense of dread. He opened the chest and found it filled with old letters and a diary. As he read through them, a tragic story unfolded. Lady Eleanor had indeed been locked away by her husband. She had kept a diary, documenting her despair and eventual acceptance of her fate. The last entry was a chilling farewell, written in shaky handwriting. "And my soul will never rest," as she had written. "I am doomed to watch over this place, a silent guardian of my own torment." Jack felt a mix of sorrow and determination. He needed to release Lady Eleanor's spirit from her torment. Armed with her diary, he returned to the ballroom and set up a makeshift seance. He placed the diary in the center of the room and surrounded it with candles. "Lady Eleanor," he called out, "I have found your diary. I know your story. I want to help you find peace." The air grew colder, and the candles flickered. Jack felt a presence in the room. The figure of Lady Eleanor appeared before him, more solid and real than ever before. "Thank you," as she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "But you must destroy the source of my pain." Jack understood. He took the diary and, with a heavy heart, set it on fire. The flames consumed the old pages quickly, and as they did, Lady Eleanor's form began to fade. "Arrest now, Eleanor," Jack said softly. "You are free." Her face softened, a look of peace replacing the sorrow. "Thank you," as she said one last time before vanishing completely. The next morning, the castle felt different. The oppressive atmosphere had lifted, and sunlight streamed through the windows, giving the ancient stones a warm glow. Jack packed up his equipment, feeling a sense of accomplishment and closure. As he drove away from Blackwood Castle, he couldn't help but glance back one last time. The castle stood silently, no longer a place of torment but a monument to a tragic story finally laid to rest. Jack knew there would be more mysteries to solve, more restless spirits to help. But for now he felt at peace, knowing he had made a difference in the life and afterlife of Lady Eleanor Blackwood. The Silent Watcher was no more. Jack Turner had scarcely returned to his home base when the emails started flooding in. Some were the usual fan mail and requests for help, but one message stood out. It was from an elderly man named Harold Blake, who claimed to be a distant relative of the Blackwoods. The subject line read, "Urgent, more secrets of Blackwood Castle." Intrigued, Jack arranged a meeting with Harold. They met at a small cafe in town, where Harold, frail but sharp-eyed, laid out a collection of old documents and photographs. "There's more to the Blackwood story," Harold began, his voice quivering with age and excitement. "I believe you only scratched the surface." Jack leaned in, eager to learn more. Harold explained that Lord Henry Blackwood was part of a secret society that delved into the occult. The castle was not just a residence, it was a site for dark rituals and experiments in communicating with the dead. Lady Eleanor wasn't the only one who suffered, Harold said, his eyes darkening with the weight of his words. There were others, servants, guests, who disappeared without a trace. Their spirits are still trapped there, Jack. They need your help. Despite the exhaustion from his previous investigation, Jack felt a renewed sense of duty. He packed his equipment and headed back to Blackwood Castle. The castle loomed larger than ever, its stone walls casting long shadows in the moonlight. Upon arrival, Jack felt the weight of unseen eyes watching him. The Silent Watcher might have been at peace, but the castle's other inhabitants were far from it. He set up his equipment once more, focusing on the areas Harold had highlighted in the documents. The ballroom, now eerily quiet, was his first stop. Jack initiated an EVP session, asking questions and hoping for a response. "Is anyone here with me?" Do you need help?" A soft whisper, barely audible, crackled through his recorder. "Help us." Jack's heart pounded. He followed the voice to the library, where he had previously found Lady Eleanor's diary. This time, he noticed a painting on the wall, a portrait of Lord Henry Blackwood. The eyes seemed to follow him, and Jack felt a chill run down his spine. Harold's documents included a detailed account of the rituals conducted by the secret society. The descriptions were chilling: summonings, sacrifices, and attempts to bind spirits to the physical world. Jack realized that these rituals were the reason the spirits were trapped. Determined to end the torment, Jack decided to perform a cleansing ritual, one he had learned from a trusted mentor. He gathered sage, salt, and holy water, setting them up in the library, the heart of the dark activities. As he began the ritual, the atmosphere grew tense. The temperature dropped, and the air thickened with the presence of restless spirits. Jack chanted words of purification, moving through the castle, spreading the cleansing materials. The spirits grew agitated. Shadows flickered, and ghostly figures appeared, watching him with hollow eyes. Jack continued, unwavering, until he returned to the library. The portrait of Lord Blackwood seemed to sneer at him. Jack approached the painting, feeling an urge to destroy it. He reached out and tore it from the wall, revealing a hidden alcove behind it. Inside was a small, ancient book bound in leather. It pulsed with a malevolent energy. Jack opened the book, finding it filled with symbols and incantations. This was the source of the dark power binding the spirits. He knew what he had to do. With the book in hand, he recited the cleansing ritual one last time, focusing all his energy on breaking the curse. The castle shook, and a deafening roar echoed through the halls. The spirits screamed, their forms twisting and dissolving into the air. Jack felt a force pushing against him, trying to stop him. But he pressed on, chanting louder, pouring every ounce of strength into the ritual. Finally, with a blinding flash of light, the book disintegrated in his hands. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and a profound silence fell over the castle. Jack slumped to the ground, exhausted but triumphant. The next morning, the castle felt entirely different. Sunlight streamed through the windows, and the air was fresh and clean. The heavy sense of dread was gone, replaced by a peaceful stillness. Jack knew the spirits had been freed. As he packed his equipment for the final time, Jack felt a sense of closure. Blackwood Castle was no longer a place of torment, but a monument to resilience and redemption. The Silent Watcher and the other trapped souls had found peace at last. Before leaving, Jack took one last walk through the castle, paying his respects to the spirits who had endured so much. He whispered a quiet farewell, knowing he had done everything he could to help them. As he drove away from Blackwood Castle, Jack couldn't help but smile. There would be more mysteries to solve, more spirits to aid, but this victory would always hold a special place in his heart. The Silent Watcher was no more, and the dark history of Blackwood Castle had finally been laid to rest. Several months had passed since Jack's final visit to Blackwood Castle. The experience had left a profound impact on him, shaping his approach to paranormal investigations. His fame grew as the story of Blackwood Castle spread, and he became a sought-after expert in the field. One evening, as he sat in his office, sifting through new requests for help, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Urgent, need your expertise. Haunting in the old Montgomery estate." Jack's curiosity was piqued. The Montgomery estate was another legendary location, known for its own share of dark tales. He felt a familiar twinge of excitement and determination. There was always more work to be done, more spirits to help find peace. Jack packed his bags, ready for the next adventure. As he drove towards the Montgomery estate, he felt a sense of purpose. His journey as a paranormal investigator was far from over, and with each case, he hoped to bring a little more light into the darkness. The road stretched out before him, leading to new mysteries and challenges. Jack Turner was ready, knowing that with courage and compassion, he could make a difference, one haunted soul at a time. And so, Jack Turner's story continues, a testament to the power of resilience, dedication, and the unending quest to uncover the unknown.